Welcome again. Today we're discussing one of our readings, the article by David Keatley. And this is a scholarly article. It isn't an original document, it's a scholarly article, and it's a very unusual scholarly article in the sense that it is written some time ago and is still virtually required reading, certainly among our undergraduates and our graduate students. It's an important article on how to interpret China's present, in some sense, in the light of its ancient past. Tell us, who's David Keatley?
Well, David Keatley is professor, he's now retired, professor at the University of California, Berkeley. He specialized in ancient China, and particularly the Shang dynasty. And you'll remember from last week, our module last week, when we talked about the Shang as the first attested dynasty with its bronzes and its divination and things like this. And Keatley did something else. Oracle bones have been known now for over 100 years, but Keatley also became a specialist in the reading of the inscriptions on oracle bones, and has been one of the people who used oracle bones to reconstruct the history of the Shang dynasty. Now, in this article, you're going to see that he takes that history and argues that, in fact, particularly from the Shang, but in comparison to Mediterranean culture as well, that we can really see the path that China followed. As the Neolithic twig was bent, exactly. As the Neolithic twig was bent, so went China's history.
So this is a kind of a question that has a contemporary resonance. Chinese leaders often talk about China, 我们中国的特色的社会主义, Chinese, something with special, in this case socialism with Chinese characteristics. Here Keatley is arguing that there are
Chinese characteristics.
Chinese cultural characteristics that are not of the last century or of the last 2 centuries, but go back to Neolithic society,
right.
And that what makes Chinese Chinese is in some sense not preordained, but set
right.
at a very early stage, and that everything else is articulated on top of this very strong foundation. Okay, Peter, we have a bunch of reading questions for this, and indeed 23 reading questions. Why do we have all these questions?
Okay, well, the reason is that this is a very important article, but it's also a scholarly article, which means it has lots of footnotes. It's lots of information in it. And we thought for people who have been out of college for a while or have not yet gone to college, it might be helpful to just have a sense of the question to ask when you read each section of the article.
Okay.
Some of these are just questions that pertain to 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs, but we thought this might be helpful to people. We're not expecting you to write down answers or anything, but just as you read to see if you can answer these questions. If you do, you'll understand exactly what Keatley is saying.
Okay, and so the first question that we ask is the big question. What is the big question that Keatley is asking? And that's the question, in some sense, of what makes China Chinese. And so let's assume that if you agree with Professor Keatley's article, what are the implications of this, Peter? How do you defend this point of view?
Well, I'm not going to answer that now, because I think that what we want to do is give everybody online the chance to read the article, to go through these reading questions for themselves, and to then join the discussion forum where they can respond to each other and say, do they agree with Keatley or not? Do they think that what he sees in the Shang set the definitive path for Chinese history? And after they've had a chance to discuss things, we're going to come back next week and we're going to say something about what we've read and how we understand the article.
Right, and whom among you we agree with.
Indeed.
So, thank you.